It's difficult to see how a democracy can work if people can't understand fundamental concepts. But as you know, I was in favour of Brexit, and I think that showed that people do value and can understand what democracy is about. But I think there is a danger that we regard politics as purely a transactional business in which people are encouraged to vote purely in their own interests and simply in terms of voting for the party that offers the most. That tends to break down any sense of citizenship and common responsibility. I don't think that's happened, but I think it's perhaps a danger. And one danger is that if people are not taught, as you suggested, that this is a system that's had to be created and which has to be maintained. It doesn't exist as a fact of nature. It's something that we've had to make, or the people who lived before us have had to make. If people don't understand that these things fit together, that freedom of speech, the rule of law, parliamentary government and so on, these are all part of a single system, and that this system can break down or it can be neglected. Parts of it can fall off, as it were. If they don't understand that, then it's quite difficult to see what will safeguard a democratic system. Because it's not safeguarded by laws and constitutions, it's essentially safeguarded by the choices of people. And although it may be right to fear populism, though I think the term populism is often simply used to mean democracy when I don't agree with it, the idea that people can be led to vote in ways that are dangerous to democracy itself clearly has happened in certain parts of the world. And if people are not able to find out or are not encouraged to learn at school or at university or wherever that this is a system which depends on them and on their choices, then I think there is a danger that populism, or whatever you want to call it, could be a threat to a liberal form of democracy. If people don't understand how the system works, if they don't value institutions, they don't value elections, they don't value popular choices, then the system itself ceases to function. And you could find that an awful lot of things no longer really work. And many of the things that we value as safeguarding our liberties, the things that we do hold dear, we'd find had been undermined and gravely weakened. The fact that many of our institutions are very ancient, and this means not only Parliament, the monarchy and so on, but also everyday institutions, schools, colleges, universities, counties, club societies, all these things are often quite old. And yet, it's also been a society which has been involved in very many fundamental changes, the Industrial Revolution being the obvious one, but also the growth of empire and then the loss of empire. These things are huge changes. And again, if one thinks of many other countries, they have neither this degree of continuity nor even this degree of change. So again, there's this remarkable contradiction. I don't think that antiquity is any longer a guarantee of respect.
No.
And to say that things have been like this for a very long time is no longer seen by most people as a reason for respecting them.
It might be a reason for destroying them. It might be saying they've been around for so long. We need a change.
Yes. So we need to explain them and defend them, if we think they're worth defending. So trial by jury, freedom of the press, these things are no longer regarded as self-evidently respectable because fairly ancient. In the case of the freedom of the press, since the Glorious Revolution. In the case of trial by jury, since the 13th century. But people might say, well, so what? So I think, in a sense, we have to now say, this is why these things are important.
And we have to defend them.
Yes, and we have to help people, make it possible for people to actually know what these things are. A democracy needs understanding. It needs people to know what it is they're voting for. Otherwise, they may simply vote for things that they think will benefit them as individuals. And I don't think a democracy can function for very long on that basis. Otherwise it becomes, and perhaps our political systems have to some extent become, rather like businesses, with political parties rather like commercial enterprises, and the voter rather like a customer. I'm not sure that democracy, that kind of democracy, has a very glorious future.